Now here's some good news. An official survey of supermarket products has shown that you can save pounds at the checkout without losing on quality.
That's all because of something called value products, and apparently some can taste just as good as the more expensive alternatives. The findings were revealed today by Trading Standards in Ipswich.
The big four supermarkets all claim to offer the best value for money. But do you always get what you pay for? Take this budget pack of Asda cornflakes and their own standard branded product. A nutritional analysis shows they're indistinguishable. Yet this pack, weight for weight, is up to 50% cheaper than this one. And at Morrison's, their mature value cheddar cheese is much cheaper than their standard packaged mature cheddar cheese. But nutritionally, there's absolutely nothing between them. Trading Standards officers bought a basket of budget products and their standard equivalents. They then sent them off for scientific analysis. It found 11 out of 17 products were almost identical.
The standard products are almost double the price of the value range, so clearly there's more profit to be had. There are quality differences with the standard range products, but the quality difference isn't really worth the difference in price.
But would a blind tasting draw the same conclusions? Enter 20 volunteers.
The cornflakes are a big difference, but not the apple juice.
They're both the same. At first I thought B was sweeter, but they're kind of both the same, really.
This one tastes a bit more meatier. That one looks like it's really fatty, not got much meat in it.
First one, I reckon. It's coming from a non-quiche lover.
So what do the supermarkets have to say? Well, Tesco told us that their standard and value ranges offer something different for customers. Asda told us that nutritionally sometimes the products are the same, but they differ in appearance and the cost of the packaging too.
As for the blind tasting, it backed up the laboratory analysis. The volunteers preferred the cheaper quiche, the cheaper cheese, and they couldn't tell between the 2 cartons of apple juice. For these basic food products at least, it seems cheap really is cheerful. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East.
That's above and beyond if you don't like quiche, isn't it, to do the tasting?
Real men eat quiche, that's what they say.
Never heard that before. Next, the history of the world in less than 2 minutes. Well, part of the history of the world.
As part of the BBC series, we've been to Suffolk, where the county is home to a unique piece of transport history. Carol Bundock has been on the buses in Ipswich.
Nestling in the Ipswich Transport Museum is a treasure. Trolleybus number 2, believed to be the oldest restored trolleybus on display in the world. It was one of 3 which was tested and then bought by Ipswich Corporation Tramways in the 1920s. They were such a success that trolleybuses remained in use until 1963.
They replaced the trams because the corporation generated the electricity and wanted to keep the revenue of having the supplying the electricity. In 1948, the government nationalised the power stations, and so all of a sudden the local council lost the incentive to sell electricity to itself, and it bought its first diesel bus in 1950.
The trolleybus was sold as a shed in 1934, and it was bought by the Mrs. Richardsons, who served tea at Flatford Mill. This was their home. The driver's cab was their kitchen area. This main part of the trolleybus was their living room. One of the sisters slept in the back of the trolleybus, the other in an adjacent gypsy caravan. But the amazing thing is, they lived here for 40 years.
Trolleybus number 2 was restored to pristine condition in 1977, and now technology seems to be coming full circle.
Electric traction's not new. This is 1923. Electric traction, electric public transport, and we're looking at this again now with modern vehicles going hybrid or electric.
The trolleybuses were known in Ipswich as trackless trams. Local people often talked about taking the tram to town. And I dare say there's a few who still do today. Carol Bundock, BBC Look East, Ipswich.
I love those old black and whites, they're great, aren't they?
You can read more about the Ipswich Transport Museum on the county's BBC website. It's at bbc.co.uk/Suffolk.
And you can also help to tell the history of the world with your own object. Go to bbc.co.uk/a history of the world for more details.
When it comes to creating movie magic, these days. It's all about 3D, surround sound and multi-million-dollar budgets.
But when film first started, it was very different. Two movie buffs from this region had put together a new show looking at how colour was first used. Mike Liggins has been for a preview.
A magic lantern, hand-painted slides. This is how colour in the movies originated. Then, in 1896, black and white films were coloured by painting each frame by hand. This, a film by the Lumiere brothers about a blacksmith. But at 16 frames per second, imagine painting every single frame.
It took a long while. It was women did the work, always, and I don't know how long it took, but painting one frame, well, probably about 2 or 3 feet would take all day, you know, something like that.
In the early 1900s, the film was dipped in dye to get a new tinted effect. Compared with the new 3D films like Avatar, this film, called Good Simon, Bad Simon, looks positively prehistoric. But audiences 100 years ago loved it.
I think those times were extremely exciting anyway. There's a lot of things going on around the 1900s. If you think of the electricity had just come in, the motor car had just come in, the aeroplanes had just started to fly. I mean, to live in those times, the things that were happening.
In 1909 came the revolutionary Kinemacolor, alternate frames of red and green. The Italian lakes in colour-ish.
It was the latest technology. Everybody was trying to photograph in colour, make money really, because that's what it was all about. And it seems crazy today, thinking about all these things that they came up with, like these red and green filters were going round at high speed. But that's the only way they could make it work.
Kinemacolor didn't last long. Technicolor came along in the 1930s. Now, if you want to know more, The Colour Comes to the Movies show gets its world premiere at Chelmondiston Village Hall near Ipswich on March the 6th and is also available for hire. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East.
In case you didn't know, we've got a bloke turning our camera just over there, you can't see.
We're going to move straight on to the weather now.
Thanks, Amelia. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about cold easterly winds, cold northerly winds. Today, the winds from the